Hi, I'm Stephen Kesting. I'm going to be releasing this on YouTube, on Facebook, and on my podcast. So if you haven't already signed up for my podcast, do so, because I'm going to be doing a lot more with that podcast in the near future. What we're talking about today, though, is how to pick a school. Mostly we're going to be talking about how to pick a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school or a grappling school, but it really applies to any kind of martial arts school. And we're going to do two things. We're going to talk about what you should focus on when you're picking a school, and then also how to actually find what it is that you're looking for. So let's start with what to focus on. Now, if you're looking for something extremely specific, you're going to have less choices. If you really want to compete at a high level in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, then you should really pick the most competition-oriented school in your catchment, in wherever close to where you live. You want the deepest pool of talent, you want the toughest guys, you want the biggest variety of styles, you want some guy who does inverted guard, and some guy's got a smashing top game, and some guy does closed guard, so that you don't run into surprises when you're competing. So there, you got to pick a big school right off the bat. If you want to be, the next UFC champion, you better pick a hardcore gym where there's lots of hard training. Conversely, if you're 60 years old and you want to switch from your lawn bowling to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you probably shouldn't train at a hardcore MMA school full of a bunch of steroid monkeys who run around with their shirts off and are covered in tattoos, because you're going to get hurt. They're just used to going at a higher, harder level than you. And, if you try and match them, you might be able to for a while, but you're going to get hurt. So you got to find a school that matches you. So unless you're looking for something extremely specific, like a mixed martial arts gym because I want to fight in the UFC, or the best jiu-jitsu competition gym in town because I want to get a gold medal at the Mundials. Unless you're looking for that, you've got a wider range of options. So then what does it come down to? Well, by and large, the most important thing that you're looking for is personality. Personality of the main instructor and personality of the main students, of the senior students. And they follow each other pretty closely. If the lead instructor of a school is a manipulative asshole, then basically he's going to attract a bunch of manipulative assholes around him to be his underling. Like attracts like. And that's going to trickle all the way down through the school. Conversely, if you've got somebody at the top of the school who's very friendly, very open, doesn't hold back on techniques, truly tries to help you, he's going to encourage that kind of culture at the school. So you can tell a lot about the head instructor by looking at the senior students. You can tell a lot about the senior students by looking at the head instructor. Also, I've argued for a long time that important as the main instructor is, actually, you're going to be spending most of your time on the mat training with the other students. So it's actually your training partners that are the most important thing. So you really want to get a sense of who you're going to be training with. What's the personality type like? What's encouraged? What's forbidden? How are people supposed to interact with each other? Now, given that personality is important, and given that the instructor is important, what about the style of jiu-jitsu or the style of martial art? I'm going to say this is less important than you might think. There are lots of people who go, I'm only interested in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for self-defense, so should I train at a combative's place? Not necessarily. Honestly, if you're training at a good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, the self-defense will almost take care of itself. If your choices are between training at a good jiu-jitsu school or a so-so combatively oriented school, pick the good jiu-jitsu school for sure, because you'll develop your jiu-jitsu skills to a much higher level, and then you can make up the rest by taking like a boxing class a week and doing a couple of takedowns with your friends, right? If it's a not very good self-defense oriented school, there's no magic set of techniques that they're going to show you that you're not going to learn at the other place. And it's not about the techniques anyway. It's about the training methods, and it's about the training partners. Honestly, somebody who's a skilled competitor, if you're going to a competitively oriented school, is going to have no major problems on the street unless they happen to run into some dude who's been training nothing but MMA for the last 10 years. So the style of the jiu-jitsu actually matters to me, and I think it should matter to you, less than the personalities involved. It's also a long commitment. And now we're moving on to the next stage. If you're going to do jiu-jitsu, you're going to be doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. Couple of years, not uncommon. 5 years, not uncommon. 10, 20 years. I just celebrated my 20th anniversary in the sport. So what's going to keep you in the sport? if you're training with a bunch of people that you like, it becomes your family. That's what keeps you coming back. That's what keeps you coming back through the tough times, through the rough times. That's what encourages you when your game has gone to absolute crap because you got a newborn in the house and you're not getting any sleep, or you're putting in tons of hours at the office or whatever. You're going to come in and you're going to get smashed by your friends. Better that you get smashed by your friends than get smashed by a bunch of people that you don't know or that you don't like. So it's a long-term commitment, which brings me to the point of how to find a school. Okay, you move to Boise, Idaho. You move somewhere new. How do you find a good school? Well, I'll tell you what I did when I moved to Montreal for university. I literally had a notebook. I wish I'd kept this notebook. And I went and visited a whole bunch of different martial arts schools. I was like, I'm going to be in Montreal for at least 4 years. As it turned out, it was 6 years. I'm spending a lot of time training. It's worth me taking a week or two and visiting every martial arts school in town that I'm interested in and trying it out. So I spent a couple of weeks, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, going to different martial arts schools, either watching a class or training in a class, and just seeing how I felt. Talking to the instructor, talking to the students, getting a vibe, seeing a class in action, saying, is this something that I would enjoy doing? Is this an environment that I'm going to enjoy coming to day after day after day for the next bunch of years? And I actually took notes about each place that I went to, each school. Who the instructor was, how much it cost, how many nights a week they were open, what my thoughts were about the training environment. Like I said, I wish I'd kept this. Could be kind of a cool piece of history. And in the end, it was a no contest. I ended up training with Philip Jelena for years and years and years in Kajikembo and a bunch of other systems. It was really through him that I got my introduction to grappling, to combat submission wrestling, to sort of a Japanese jiu-jitsu / Gracie jiu-jitsu approach to things. And I'm super grateful. And I'm really, really glad that I spent that initial 2 weeks training and visiting a whole bunch of different schools before settling on that one place. So same for you. Go visit the 5 different schools that are within your distance, that are within your radius. If you're willing to travel half an hour to train, go visit all the schools within half an hour. Train there if you can. Don't get sucked into signing a contract on your first night there, and go check them all out. Make notes if you're that kind of thinker. I can't. I've got a crappy memory, so I have to take notes. And it'll be pretty obvious. The question will answer itself just by experiencing. Because you can go, check the website. And I encourage you to read their website. And you can go check Yelp reviews. And I encourage you to check Yelp reviews. And you can do a search for the instructor's name and the words, assault charge. And I also encourage you to do that. But the bottom line is when you go there and you experience it for yourself, that's invaluable. So don't make your decision without visiting as many different schools and actually getting your ass in the door, and preferably your ass on the mat. Because no matter what they say on their website, the reality might be very different. They might say we're a friendly, inclusive training environment where we respect everybody and safety first. And you get there and 2 guys end up going to the hospital that night, and you end up with a tweaked neck. And you go, okay, these guys are a bunch of savages. They don't care about each other. And you learn something by actually doing it. So go and check out all the different schools in your neighborhood, train there, and the question will answer itself. Remember, it's mostly about personality. Does your personality match with the other people there? Do you think you're going to be able to make friends there? That's the easy way to answer this. Do these people seem friendly? Do they seem like they're on the same page as you? Are your interests aligned? Are you all interested in becoming a bunch of no-gi, top game playing and leg locking killers? Well, if your interests are all aligned that way, that's great. Then you can all go train that together. Are your interests in look, we're recreational guys, we just want to do a bit of jiu-jitsu, we're an older crowd, a mixed crowd, and we would rather have, some jiu-jitsu in our lives rather than no jiu-jitsu in our lives because we get injured right away? That's great. If that's what your focus is, if that's what's important to you, and that's what the dominant focus of the school is, that's great. You got alignment. So personality is the most important thing. Don't worry too much about the curriculum. Don't worry too much about sport versus self-defense. That kind of takes care of itself. And remember, you're going to be doing this for a long time. So make sure that you're going to enjoy the people that you're training with, and make sure that you're bringing something to the table as well. Now that might just be being a decent, sane training partner who's respectful of other people and willing to be a training day for somebody more advanced than you. It's not all take. You got to give as well. If you try those things out, I'm sure you'll find a great school. We're actually pretty lucky in the sport. Most of the schools that you go to are pretty darn good. It's not like a lot of the traditional martial arts schools where you've got one person with a delusional fantasy teaching one system, and then another person with delusional fantasies teaching an entirely different system, and the two of them arguing and it's completely theoretical. No, you find out pretty quick if jiu-jitsu works, if sort of reality-based martial arts work. So that takes some of the pressure off, and now it comes down to, are you a good match for the school, and is the school a good match for you? I hope this helps, and I hope you enjoy your training. And don't worry, it's a long journey, but it's a fantastic journey. It's a journey for life. Take care and good luck with your training.